perseverance, and finding a way despite the odds.
Are you having
It's
fun,
about
you all?
embracing the whole
I am.
woman, not just the parts that are easy
You
to
gotta laugh
love,
at this stuff,
and
right?
feeding her heart, mind, body, and soul. But I found that this isn't
We are
just
live
my
again.
story. It's your story too. It's go time. This is the Daily Dish.
Okay. Ta-da! Was that fun or what? All right, y'all. Well, listen, welcome. Happy Tuesday. And it wouldn't be a great Tuesday unless we had a hiccup and we all laughed about it. So if you're laughing with me, pinkies up. We got to laugh. Things happen, you know? We can take it seriously and get all upset. Or we can say, you know what, we're going to roll with it. And we just rolled. So thank you so much, Jocelyn and Trish, for being here. And Jenny for hanging in there and getting it happening. She's doing it on her hotspot, y'all. Yeah, it's all good. Of course, it's all good. I think it's going to be a great day. By the way, we just went through the 12 universal laws of manifestation. That was fun. Did you enjoy that? We are now going to be going through the 7 levels of personal power. Bam! And wait till you today's show. I am chef's kiss. Seriously, this is something we all need to hear. This is something we all need to put into our journal. This is something that is something that everybody has. We think we know this. Oh, girl, we don't. Because there's a lot of stuff in here that just when I was writing this out and researching it this morning, let me tell you, I got a little cosmic 2x4 up in the head, and I believe you probably are going to as well. Did you see what Trish said? She said, I'm laughing and have a big smile on my face. That's my girl. Thank you. I appreciate that, Trish, so much. Listen, big stuff coming up. First of all, I'm not telling you why, but if you have Saturday, April 5th available, I am going to tell you why. Who am I? You know, of course. Hey there, Martha. Here's the deal. On Saturday, April 5th, we have a whole new day workshop coming. So save that date. It's going to start at 10 a.m., go to 4 p.m. So we'll have lunch breaks and all of that. It's all virtual. It's going to be done right here. And I am so stoked about it. Stoked. You will be too when you see all of that. We're not ready to quite do the big reveal, but it's happening. And you watch your email. You're going to get some emails about it. And I know that it's going to press that heart button of yours, because you know what we need to hear. There's a bunch of stuff we need to hear, don't we? I always appreciate, I appreciate hearing things I don't want to hear sometimes. No, none of us always want to hear everything, right? There's Jeanette. She sets her alarm so she doesn't miss our live. I love that, Jeanette. That's so good. Anyway, so that is happening. Write it down now. Saturday, September. Listen to me. I'm jumping ahead. Saturday, April 5th from 10 a.m. Eastern to 4 p.m. Eastern. A jam-packed workshop. I am stoked. So will you be, and watch your email. I promise you, emails are coming probably today or tomorrow. Just watch. The other thing is that the Hot Melt 30 is coming. We decided to do all of April for Hot Melt 30. If you don't know what Hot Melt 30 is, guess what? Well, of course, Jenny. I know Jenny. Of course, it's going to be ready today. Of course it is. Thank you, Jenny. It'll be ready today. So emails today. Watch for them. We have Hot Melt 30. That's coming. We're going to do a webinar on it on Monday, March 24th. This is why I want you to really come to this webinar, number one. And two, gear up and get ready for April 1st, all the way through the month of April, because we start ticking all the boxes. That's what the Hot Melt 30 is all about. And it's about kind of challenging ourselves and getting things done. Because what I have found, it is never just about what's on the end of your fork. It's also about what's between your ears. It's also about what you're thinking. It's also about what your action plan is about. Hot Melt 30 sets you up for success. So it's going to be so much fun. savingdinner.com/30. Okay. THIRTY 30. Okay. So we have that coming up. The other thing is, this is another thing that's really fun. Our Take Back Your Life journals. Now you've heard about them. We have them, of course, in this beautiful color. We also have other different colors and undated. Now here's the thing. This is the first quarter of 2025 is just about over. We should be accomplishing those 90-day goals. We should be coming to the end of them and saying, you know what, look what I did. Now, I've had some success in a couple. I have had failure in 2. I have 4 goals. This is what I suggest that you always set. And the reason why, I didn't stay on top of them. And there's checks that I didn't do. Some of one of them was just a little bit too much of a stretch. So here's what I'm doing. If you get a Take Back Your Life journal, or you already have one, but you get one today. I mean, we have the undated ones if you don't have one. I'm going to be holding a free class for a goal review and reboot, because we need it. If you want the next quarter 2 of 2025 to look different than quarter 1, you want to set yourself up for success, this class is going to knock it out of the park. It is reserved for people who are using the system, y'all. The system. This is the system. Take Back Your Life journal, all based on setting those goals. That's how it works. And anyway, so we will be sending invitations out to that exclusive class. And I will tell you what, I'm going to be doing hot seats. I'm going to be doing a great big fat juicy teaching that you're going to love. And I will answer every single last question and make sure that you leave that class fully equipped, that you're using your journal, and that you're going to have such crazy success that the end of quarter 2, you're going to be going, bam, this stuff's great. Aren't they pretty? They are pretty, Trish. Hey, Nancy. Yeah, so that's what's happening. And you can, that's our show special. So go to savingdinner.com/show. Now this course, it really is a course. It's going to be a lot. And we would normally charge for something like this. We are not charging for people who have the journal. So if you don't have the journal, go get it. savingdinner.com/show. If you do have the journal, be expecting an email for this class. You're going to want to go. That's all. You're just going to want to go. All right. And also, and check this. You guys are going to love this. I think this is quite poignant, considering how we started our show this morning. Okay. Success is stumbling from failure to failure with no loss of enthusiasm. You know who said that? Winston Churchill. Winston Churchill, of all things to say. And I think that's so important, because we all stumble, we all have failures, but if we can look at those failures as stepping stones, everything's just a little bit different, isn't it? All right. So one piece of personal business for a lot of people who've been asking about Mark. He's doing much, much better. We are home. We had a trip that we were planned because we're going to go see his frat brothers down in Florida. And I just did not feel good about it. So we stayed home. Mark's daughter was here. He is recovering nicely, although it's been slow. And I think, sometimes we need to take it slow. So please keep praying for him. He's a little discouraged, I think. And I love him. And, my big, strong husband has gone from Superman to Clark Kent for right now. And Clark Kent needs a little recuperation. So thank you for your prayers. It was quite an ordeal. And I'll tell you, I felt the feeling that I had as we were being taken from the emergency room into intensive care. I felt all the blood just drained from my face. I almost threw up. Or fainted or something. And I was just like, oh no, this isn't real. Is this the only, and I asked the nurse, is this the only space you had? No, it was that serious. So thank you again for your prayers. Okay. Now, we just did the 12 universal laws. Now we're going to do the 7 levels of personal power. And I wanted to do this because well, first of all, I wanted to kind of start with universal laws because these are things that we have seen and felt in our lives. Maybe never had a label for them per se, but most of us have, like the law of polarity and, different things that we've had. We've all kind of felt this, right? So now we're walking into this new thing of personal power. And as I was going through and thinking about what are the different elements of personal power, there were things that we need to do and things that we need to stop and things that we need to consider. So I want to start with number 1. And the whole thing that you need to be looking at is that it's called victim consciousness. And this is how to stop feeling powerless and to reclaim control in your life. Because here's the thing, all of us have fallen victim to being a victim. But when we understand that the world is not going to hand us the life that we want, that we have to go after what it is that we want, then that's kind of the beginning of power. And it's painful to see and to know and to understand that you kind of have to fight for what it is that you want. Am I right, Catherine? Hi, by the way. I'm so glad you're here. But as long as you see yourself as a victim, you will remain powerless in your life forever and ever. Amen. Victimhood is a set of handcuffs without a set of keys. And the thing that's so scary about it is that we put those handcuffs on ourselves. Okay? Now, you might be thinking, oh, I don't consider myself a victim. Oh, just wait. There's probably a place that you do. And this has got to go. Because if we are going to live in our own personal power, we're going to have to start dumping this stuff. And we're going to start having the courage and the eyes to see what it is that needs to be seen. And that's what we're talking about today. Because there's sort of a seduction, if you will, about having this mental trap of victim consciousness. You know why? It lets you off the hook. It gives you an excuse. And it tells you that the circumstances are the problem, not you. What? Yeah, you heard me. But here's the power. Here's the thing. Your empowered life doesn't come from this place of powerlessness, ever. And it never will. It never will. So we're going to start this journey on this 7 levels of personal power and take a deep dive on what it is that takes you to get to this place from victimhood to survival to actual full empowerment. Because that's what I want for you. That's what I want for myself. That's what I want for every single woman on this planet, to see herself with a different lens, to see herself as the powerful woman that she was created to be. So we have to escape this victim consciousness forever and ever. So you want a deeper dive on the definition? Victim consciousness is a mental and emotional state where you believe life is happening to you, not for you. Okay? One of the things that I have written on my bookcase is that life is always working out for me. Even when the circumstances around me are saying, you sure about that? Even when it's not great, even when it's scary, even when I'm full of fear, I can still make that claim because I believe that to be true. The fact that something bad is going on in my life, or the fact that something isn't so great, or that there's fear involved, doesn't mean that's the high 30-foot view of what my whole life is. It just means that's a glimpse of something that's maybe happening right now. Does that make sense? In other words, I have an opportunity at any point in my life to choose and to believe that life is happening for me. It's a choice. Because if you feel like life is happening to you, guess what happens? You feel powerless because life feels way out of your control. You also feel resentful. Guess what else happens there? You blame people, circumstances, and even get this, and I've heard this before, and it makes the hairs on the back of my neck go up. Bad luck, right? It also makes you feel stuck because it feels like no matter what you do, you just can't get out of whatever it is that you're trying to get out of. So there's that. Then you feel also defeated because you've tried and you've tried and you've tried and you just can't seem to get above the fray. So why bother? Have you ever said that? Why bother? What the heck? So victim consciousness convinces you that you're on the mercy of outside forces. That's what it does. It tells you that it's your past. It tells you it's your family. It tells you it's other people. It's the economy. It tells you it's your genes. It's your age. That's just the biggest pile of horse crap on the planet. It's true. But when you believe that you are powerless, that is exactly the way that you are going to act. Exactly. And when you act powerless, guess what? You stay powerless. So this is a vicious cycle, and it's the one that we have to remove ourselves from by making a different thought in our mind and believing something different. But I'm going to tell you something. There is a little bit of a comfort zone when it comes to this staying in victim mode, because victimhood is a trap. And in a strange way, it's comforting. And this is because this is what your brain knows, right? But it's also a way of avoiding responsibility and not having to confront stuff that you don't want to, because it's not fun. Because if it's not your fault, you don't have to do anything about it. So it's not my fault. Then I don't have to change at all. But the other thing is that when you're a victim, oh my gosh, you get attention and sympathy. People feel bad for you, and they clamor around you. What is it that I can do for you? Blah, blah, blah. That feels good because you're such a victim. And then you have a built-in excuse to never have to take a risk. Because if the world is against you, why bother, right? We've just been saying that. Why even try? So, but what victim consciousness doesn't tell you is that you're trading your power for pity. You can be pitiful or you can be powerful, but you can't be both. Remember that quote? Remember that quote? So if you're going to trade your power for pity, you're also going to trade your possibility for excuses, and you're going to trade growth for stagnation. And we don't think about those things, do we? We don't think about those things when we're letting ourselves off the hook, because the cost to victimhood is your life. So the longer you stay in this victimhood mode, the less agency you have over your future. And it's time to break up with this mentality entirely. So let's talk about what you can do. There's some steps. Step one is to own the truth that no one's coming to save you. That's actually a chapter in my new book coming out. I haven't told you about it, but it is. I'm actually writing this one right now. And this is the most important shift, by the way, because if we wait for the prince on the white horse, girlfriend, we are going to be waiting for a very, very long time. No one is coming to rescue you. No one's going to fix things for you. No one's going to magically make your life better. It's an inside job. And this is the thing. That might sound discouraging, but it's not. It's liberating, because that means you are the one who has the control and can drive that car, not someone else. You don't have to wait for the prince and the white horse. And it's all garbage. You don't want that anyway. Who wants to wear glass shoes? I don't. So if you don't have to wait, you get to save yourself. And you get to start today. And you get to start looking at this and saying, you know what? I can do this. The game completely shifts and changes when this happens because you go from helplessness to ownership. And that's huge. So, one of the things that I have done a lot of laser coaching with folks, with women. I haven't done this with men, but with women, is I've heard this said a number of times. Why is this always happening to me? Why does this blah blah blah? And we have to ask different questions instead of why is this happening to me? What am I going to do about it? Is a different one. Is a different question. Because do you see the difference? That opens the door to possibilities. And that's where the real power is. The other thing is we have to stop giving away our power. Oh my gosh. I could write a book about this. And I am. Because we do give away our power. I shared a story, and you've probably all heard it a million times. Well, here comes 1,000,001. I had this sudden epiphany that I was giving my power away to a bag of candy. And I will tell you, I don't think I've ever cried that hard because it just made me feel just this big. And, I could blame the candy, but I had to blame myself for being a sugar junkie, for being hooked on that stuff, and for understanding that my very, the power that I had in my life was all sitting in that bag on the front seat of my car that I was just shoveling into my face. And it was just a real eye opener. But there's other people, you've heard this, and unfortunately, I see this a lot with younger folks, and that is blame your parents. Your parents ruined your self-esteem, and the economy is so bad. No wonder I can't do, fill in blank, buy a house, do this, do that. It's impossible to succeed. And my spouse doesn't support me. My health issues hold me back, and I don't have any choices or whatever. Now, I'm not here to dismiss any of that and say, that's absolutely not true. Maybe their parents did. But, the thing is that we have to take a step back and say, yeah, did bad things happen? Sure. Are there real struggles? Absolutely. We just mentioned a few. Is it fair sometimes? Sure. Without a doubt. But what my mother used to always say to me, a fair is something with a Ferris wheel. It's not something that you go around and judge your life by. This is fair, this is unfair, blah, blah, blah. And if you take that upon yourself, you're going to become a very bitter person. Because the fact is that blame changes nothing. Not one damn thing. Blame is like handing the remote control of your life to someone else and say, here, you decide what's next. So our only choice then is to take our power back. Instead of saying, I can't do this because of X, start saying, how can I make this work despite X? Because when we look at that, there's the door for possibility and solution and creativity and curiosity and ideas, all the things that make us feel human, abundant, and alive. Everything else makes us feel small, powerless, meek, unable to have the juicy life that we really should be having, despite all the crap. There is always a way forward. I know this for a fact. I have lived it. I can tell you story after story after story of stuff that I have triumphed over. And not because I'm anything special or spectacular or anything. It's because I didn't want to stay where I was. And when you make the decision that you don't want to stay where you are, you break free from this victimhood mentality. And you start to rewrite a different story. And you start to look at what could be possible in your life. And I will tell you this, if you only believe just an inkling of what I'm talking about, that is enough. Because step 3 involves rewriting your internal story. Your life is shaped by the story that you tell yourself, and you are always the star of your show. Have you noticed that? I oftentimes used to say to my children, life doesn't pivot all around you. Well, you know what? It does. That's not true. Life pivots all around all of us. We're all the stars of our own shows because it's only our perspective that we can work off of. Although we can adapt other people's perspectives and take on their stuff and believe what it is that they have. We could be people pleasers and do all the rest of it. But the fact is, there's an internal dialogue going on in our heads, every single one of us. So you are the one who gets to tell that story and gets to decide what's possible for yourself. So if you know what this is, if your story is, I will never win, I always get the short end of the stick, nothing ever works out to me, guess what? It's all going to be true. Because your reticular activating system, that part of your brain, is going to look for evidence for what you say, because your brain is constantly taking instruction from your thoughts and from your words. And that's where it's such a sticky wicket. And that's where people get, if you don't know this about how your brain operates, then you can't stop it. You just say, see, I told you. See how awful it is? Because we create that evidence to support the belief of what it is that we're perpetuating with our words and with our thoughts. Because your brain is wired to seek confirmation of what it already believes. So if you believe that the world is out to get you, you will find plenty of evidence to support that. And if you want to do that right now, just go cruise some news sites and tell me how good you feel after 2 hours of doom scrolling. It's there. It'll take away from you. So, you got to catch yourself in this, though. If you want a new life, then you need a new story. If you want to live your dream life, then start creating a dream story of possibility. So here's the first thing. First of all, you got to catch those victim thoughts in real time. They happen. So when you start noticing that you're flipping into this whole, oh, poor, pitiful me. And by the way, don't sing that Linda Ronstadt song either, by the way, because it was on the radio the other day and I was singing, poor, pitiful. And then I just started, no, I'm not going to sing that song. I'm not going to bring that into the equation of my life. Thank you very much. Life is always working out for me. After all, life is always working out for me. It might not look like it, but if you're in a storm, I promise you sunshine is coming. Amen. You have to flip the script. Instead of saying this isn't fair, you say this is hard, but I have what it takes. I've got the spine for it. I've got the brain for it. And I've got the heart for it. And I'm a consistent, hard-working woman. This will not defeat me. I can't tell you how many times I've said that. It's true. And then you have to act from a place of empowerment and not defeat. Defeat puts you in a place of desperation and just scarcity and that there's not enough and you'll never have enough. But every time you make a decision, if you ask yourself, is this the choice that's going to move me forward or take me back? That's a really great question, because then you can choose exactly what it is that you want. Hi, Chris. She likes my stories. Thank you. I'm glad you like my stories. And then step 4 is that you have to take one bold action. Our thoughts are one thing, but what we do is another. We reinforce what we think with what we do. Because, think about love, for example. When you tell somebody you love someone and then you don't follow through with action to show them that you love them, it's not love, it's lip service. And that's how it is with our lives. If we fill our lives with all these, delulu thoughts of like, oh, this is my dream life, and sit on our cans watching, Reacher on TV, guess what? Victimhood thrives on inaction. And it's just a moment of time where you go bam and you fall back on your butt and you're saying, okay, well, see, I told you things don't work out for me. And it's not that, it's that you haven't done what you need to do, period. So What's the fastest way to break free from all of this? Do something. It doesn't have to be the biggest huge thing in the world. It doesn't need to be overwhelmingly humongous that it's going to make the headlines in tomorrow's newspaper. But one bold move toward your power is going to reinforce to your brain that you're not willing to stay in the place of victimhood anymore. You feel, for example, all right, you feel stuck in this horrible job, you have a horrible boss, and this, that, and the other thing. Guess what? You can sit there on your lunch break and update your resume. You are a tree. You are not a tree, rather. You do not have to stay where you are. You can move. I always say that about doctors as well. You have a doctor that's not going to work with you and what have you. You're not stuck. Go get another doctor. Fire him. If you're struggling with your health, what do you think you need to do? Well, take a look at your habits. Do you need to drink more water? Do you need to get to bed earlier? What's on the end of your fork? Have you moved lately? Make an evaluation and do one bold thing that's going to say something different to yourself. As you do this, you are impressing upon your brain that you're ready for something new. It's uncomfortable at first. It is not habitual at first. Habits don't just come. They have to be over and over and over done again and again and again before the automation starts to happen. And it's just what you do. Getting up and making coffee in the morning, it's a habit. Well, you can also have exercise, be a habit. You can also have hydration, be a habit. Going to bed earlier, being a habit by setting an alarm. Those little actions all add up. And they tell your brain, I am worth this effort. I am removing myself from this whole victimhood garbage, and I am becoming empowered. I am the queen of my own life, after all. Amen. Hi, Marianne. So when you do this, not only are you reinforcing that you are powerful and that you are not powerless, but you're also building this thing called momentum. And you know what momentum does? Momentum plus motivation equals magic. And the motivation is fed by you just doing these simple things. Because motivation doesn't ever come knocking. Motivation comes because of action. Always remember that. That's really important. One of my favorite equations, right? Motivation plus momentum equals magic. So this is the thing. Like I said, victimhood is a cage, but you have the keys to unlock that door. You can stay inside and come and wait for someone to come and take you out, or you can step inside, grab the handle, and walk into the life that you want to build. Period. Because here's the thing. You are fearfully and wonderfully made. You're here on purpose and for purpose. You are not powerless. You have been given everything that you need in order to create the exact life you want. And victimhood doesn't have to come anywhere near it. It can be a thing of the past, a relic. It could be something that you just toss and get rid of. It could be something that you look back on and say, you know what? I used to be there, but today I am here. Do you remember the law of contrast? That is huge. Pendulum swing, all of it. So I want you to remember this. The second you start to believe this is the second that you need to start taking action. And the second that you take action, you are going to reinforce a new thought that you're not a victim. That is, in fact, you are the queen of your own life. And that's huge. Now, next time we get together, this is next Tuesday, we're going to be talking about survivor mode. We're going to be moving from reaction to action and recognizing not just, well, today we talked about escaping, if you will, this whole victim consciousness, but breaking free is only step one. The next thing is the next level of personal power is survival mode, because that's the next thing that we go to. However, we're also going to have to break free from that. And I'm not saying that so to overwhelm you or anything, but I want you to see that this is how we actively build this next level of our lives. There's always a new layer. And for you and for me and for everybody else who has this hot desire in their hearts to live a fully bloomed life, it's mandatory. And this is why we're here. And this is why we're doing it together. All right. Anyway, there you go. That's everything. Thank you so much for joining me today. Our announcements, everything that was at the beginning of the show is at savingdinner.com/announcements. I don't want you to listen. I'm just going to say this. This is created for you to have that idea life. And this class that we're going to be doing on March 31st, I believe, this goal, it's going to be a goal reboot is really what it's going to be. It's going to be a kind of a review of where you are, what goals you want to set, and we're going to be having hot seats. It's going to be all the things. It's going to be juicy. It's going to be hot, and I want you there. So savingdinner.com/show. Go get your journal if you don't have it now, because this is who it's for, this class. Anyway, that's it. I appreciate you all. Thanks so much for working with us today as we stumbled through the beginning of the show. We got through it though, and we did it together. I appreciate you all. Peace be with you.
Thank you for joining me today. You can find me on TikTok for daily tips to help support your most vibrant life. And remember, you are the author of your own story. Until next time.